And we are live. Good evening, everyone. How are you today? Thank you so much for joining us this evening at 5:30 p.m. today in Melbourne. Thank you so much for finding some time. And please introduce yourself in the comments. Just pop your name and where you're actually watching us from. Because you know what? We are in Melbourne, and what's happening in Melbourne? Isolation. Yeah, so we're still in isolation. So if you're in Melbourne, share with me how you guys going. It's been 3 weeks so far. We on another side of the 6 weeks, but yeah, it's still over 2 weeks to go. So let me know how you're going. And as I always saying, isolation is a great time to learn something new and also transform and adapt your business for online work. So we all know that LinkedIn is a great place to generate leads and find new clients. But are we using LinkedIn effectively? It seems, particularly at the moment, like everyone on LinkedIn, it feels like it's getting a bit cluttered there. I even feel like it's losing a bit of their like a professional feel and became like just another social media platform. So how can we cut through and how we can use LinkedIn professionally? Yeah, so generate leads in professional, personalized way. So, these days, if your business is not online, it kind of just doesn't exist. So LinkedIn is a great platform to showcase your business. And tonight, me and Rodney is going to discuss the do's and don'ts when it comes to LinkedIn sales. So, it is really a relevant topic these days. So make sure you tag your friends and share it with those who need to listen to this. So, and before I'm going to pass it to Rodney to introduce himself, I just want to quickly remind you that we are going live on LinkedIn, Facebook, and YouTube today, and you can watch replays on all of those platforms. I do recommend subscribing to my YouTube channel because it's the easiest way to watch replays, and you also get notification every Wednesday because I'm going live every Wednesday, 5:30 p.m. Melbourne time with various experts from my network, and we're talking about all the things personal branding, LinkedIn, and effective online communication. So we are going to answer all your questions from all the platforms. So make sure tune in, ask your question, pick our brains. But so from on any platform. And Rodney even have some giveaway for some active live participants. So make sure you interact during the stream and ask tricky questions and share your experience on LinkedIn. So we would love to hear your stories as well. So we have few people saying hi. Oksana here. Thank you guys. Paul is here. Sandra's here. Paul as well. So we have two Pauls. Perfect, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. And I'm passing on to Rodney to talk a bit about himself.
Oh, no, it's that one.
It's this
Thanks, Yana.
Welcome, Rodney.
Thank you. I've been hanging to come onto your show. I've been watching it for how many months now have you been online?
Well, since isolation started, since
5.5
April.
months or something.
April.
Yeah, wow. Nah, it's good. I've been wanting to have this discussion, and as you know, LinkedIn's very close to my passion, and really enjoy talking about it. But also, what LinkedIn's given us and our business it's been immense. So today, I think Yana, both of us should probably just jump in because I'd really like to even pick your brains. You're very active on LinkedIn as well. So yeah, I'd love to get into the do's or don'ts with you as well. But just a quick little background from me. I run the Digital Crowd, which is an online workshops, like similar to running courses online. We pivoted as the first lockdown to make sure that we've got courses available for people that they can do it from the comfort of their own home. But we call it an online workshop because we actually have live Q&As once a month to handhold, to make sure people complete different modules. And then also, get some value of asking that curly question rather than just watching courses that can get quite boring or monotone. So, yeah, that's pretty much it. Otherwise, I've been in the digital marketing game for 21 years, and I meet lovely people like Yana. I get to work with some businesses that Yana's got up there, which we're quite fortunate to be part of. But yeah, I met Yana at a networking event a number of years ago, and we've shared our network, and and learned a lot from each other. And we're collaborating together on the digital crowd as well. So that's really good. And yeah, hopefully today we get a lot of your questions in. And I'd love to also hear what you guys are experiencing on LinkedIn. So Yana mentioned a little bit about feeling a bit, it's getting a bit crowded. It does feel like, because everyone's at home, that they're trying to get online, right? Everyone's going nuts with getting online. And because they can't go to any events, they're just flooding LinkedIn. And we are noticing that with the amount of connections I'm getting. I would like to hear from you guys. Are you guys getting a lot of unnecessary or unwanted connections out there that seem to have just happened? Yana, how are you going with your connections?
There is definitely feels like everyone jumping on LinkedIn, and I feel like I'm getting way too many automated messages at the moment.
Oh, yeah.
Like way too many, and I kind of now start answering those messages and saying, "Oh God, thank you for your automated message. So, what is your return on investment on this one?"
That's a good one.
So, because and if person reply, at least I get the real person replying, and they actually starting conversation. But often they just send another automated message, and if it's another automated message, that's it. I just delete them.
Yeah, I mean,
so that's kind of my experience at the moment. But I'm adding majority of the people who want to connect with me. I'm adding majority of people as my connections, and I guess that's why I'm probably getting so many automated messages.
Right, yeah. And I think there's two forms of automated messages. One that, a lot of people are using outsourced companies to send out those templated messages. And then there's, those things that we probably shouldn't be using, because, I mean, we have spoken. So I've been on a LinkedIn closed group with LinkedIn. So they invite a few of us to go into a closed group and tell us what's coming up, which we'll talk about stories soon. We got invited to that. But one of the topics we discussed was, automation tools like LinkedIn Helper. Now, just because I've told you that, don't use it. There's platforms out there like Instagram in the past that when Facebook have found that people are using automation tools, and literally automation tools, there's no humans involved. It's a script running and automatically sends out, follows people with particular hashtags and puts up the little high fives and says nice photo for no reason at all. People got shadow banned and accounts got banned, and overnight you might lose your Instagram account. So LinkedIn has warned that they are actually monitoring a lot of that, and they can tell when automation tools are occurring, and responses are very candid and not detailed. And, they haven't said what they'll do about it, but I'm assuming that only over time, the more it becomes spammy and ruins the experience of LinkedIn, I'm sure they'll be, on top of those things. So, yeah,
but
have you heard about
I've noticed some of these automated messages, they flag as I don't know, dangerous content or something. So I had a few that LinkedIn would delete itself. So even before I read them, they delete it.
Yeah.
So here you go. Alexander saying, I received automated message too, but would be great to understand how many them can use those automated messages without being left ignored as I am receiving them. Yes, because I know the people who don't even read their LinkedIn messages anymore because it's too many automated ones.
Yeah. And also the way the platform works is quite weird. Like, you'll see your connections and you'll say, okay, do I accept, ignore, whatever. And when you accept it, automatically in the other area in your inbox, the automated message is sitting there that you maybe didn't even read it because you were just looking at the person's job title and whether they were, for me, basically, I look at the job title and whether they're based in Australia or not. And, then these automated messages sit there, and it's another inbox to clean up, isn't it?
Yes.
Really?
And, I'll give you actually a quick tip. So if you want to see which message is automated or not, put some little, so at the moment, my first name is actually Yana Martens on LinkedIn, and video coach is my last name. So then someone sending me automated message, it looks like, hi, Yana Martens, comma. And then I know exactly that it's automated message because they just put first name without even checking it.
Yeah.
But if it just says Yana, at least I know someone at least put an effort deleting my last name from the automation. So that's one of the way. I know some people putting some symbols in their first name. So in this case, when you receive automated message, you know if it's a fully automated or someone is actually, at least, I do copy and paste some messages. We all do. Like sometimes you want to send some message and you copy and paste, but you still adapt for the name or for, for the situation. So it's still human, not fully generated. Yeah.
Exactly. I think, can we bring up one of the do's? Or can we bring up the...
Yes, yeah. Let's talk about the do's. Exactly.
Yeah. And keep your questions and comments coming in your experience. Okay. So one of the do's, we're going to go with the do's. We'll read all of them, but we'll go into a little bit of them. So building a filtered community and following, showing them the real you, show up and then continue to show up. Don't be afraid to take a chance, and make sure you collaborate and help others. Now, these are the top 5 do's that I've picked up, and based on our experience of managing clients' accounts. So we do manage clients' accounts, but a lot of the things that we do, we actually get them to create the templates in the conversation. Because the last thing you want is, I connect with you, Yana, with a template, and then the next time we actually talk in person, I sound like a totally different person. I might be really conserved and whatever, and the template was, really flamboyant and, over the top. So that's going to have that jarring effect. So the filtered community, or creating that. So let's just look at number 1, building a filtered community and following. Why is this important? So LinkedIn is giving you the opportunity to build your own database. This is probably the biggest, it's the ultimate tool in marketing. So when we talk about, talk to your target audience and who's your secondary audience and all, we do that in marketing because we're trying to work out, okay, we're going to run this TV ad or we're going to run a Google ad, and how hard is it to work out how to talk to your audience? Here, we can actually handpick and filter our audiences based on who we want to talk to. So by doing that, like mine's basically littered with 80% of my audience is marketing managers and communication, like coordinators. So one rung below them, because our agency provides a service to marketing managers, right? So that's your, your kind of your primary and your secondary audiences. But the thing is, when you're looking at filtered content, now when I have to create or post something, I know what to post and what to talk about. I know the problems they're having. I know what content, and I know what's going to be relevant and resonate with them, I think a lot of people also, you might have worked at a job like 5 years ago or something. And Yana, I remember seeing one of your videos on LinkedIn. If the connection is not relevant anymore, remove them off your database. This problem that Yana's feeling and others are feeling, that everyone's jumping on LinkedIn now. Great, let them jump on LinkedIn, but don't let them be in your network or in your feed. You have the control to filter that community, and you can still just have 1,000 people that follow you. But imagine if all 1,000 of them were part of your primary audience. I mean, how amazing would that be?
But even when it comes to the content, like you can't, the content needs to be relevant. And if you have too many different people in there, the content won't be relevant to all of them. And it means your engagement will be low and the algorithm will work. If engagement is low with your first connections, LinkedIn not gonna show it to your second connection, the third connections, because you're not building this first momentum. So if your content is irrelevant to your prime audience, LinkedIn will think like, oh, like even people who following this person not watching it, like why would I show it to someone else?
Exactly. And that's the big thing. I mean, I know there's probably another topic here to talk about engagement pods. People have created some of those, but I've got a video on my profile. If you want to watch it, I talk about it in great lengths. But engagement pods basically is like a group of people that get together and just like each other's posts, right? Now, again, if those group of people aren't closely aligned with the same audience, it's not actually what we call collaboration in business. You don't have the same target audience. So you should not be collaborating unless you've got a product or service that helps them all. So, I think it's very, you've got to be careful with those things, but definitely, don't abuse this thing. This is the most powerful thing you can do, because you can then filter that community and get them to follow your company page afterwards. So that even becomes stronger, that when people that are following your organization or your company page, you've again handpicked them even further. We tried this with one of our pages where we only had 44 followers, and we were able to get 1,000 organic impressions on a post with just 44 followers on a page. It's because they were handpicked,
100%.
What's the
I'm just
question?
scrolling through the questions.
Yeah.
Do you suggest following someone like an influencer before actually sending out a connection request? I send a connection request to everyone. I must admit, like if I like some influencer, their content, I always just send them connection request. And if they don't respond to my connection request, I follow them. That's what I do. I don't know. What do you think, Rodney?
Yeah, no, you follow them anyway. It just depends what type of person they are. So I've followed a few where they've actually connected back. And I know they only have a 30,000. I think that's getting increased, by the way. They have a 30,000 limit of how many connections they can actually have. So they make sure that connection request is like hidden a little bit. And sometimes they just can't accept it because they've hit the cap, but it's still accepting connections, because as they disconnect with someone, then they can add some more. So don't be too hung up on the fact that they're not connecting with you. They do want you to follow their content, and they do want you to be part of their community. But yeah, following them is probably the best. And then
it's like, I send a connection request to Scott Morrison, and he didn't connect with me, so I have to follow him now.
Didn't you get his story just before? What did he have on LinkedIn stories to say?
Something about the job maker.
Oh gosh, who knows? He'll have something to say. And again,
we're not talking about politics on this show, okay? No politics on the show.
No religion, political. No.
But I'm still following Scott Morrison.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If you want to follow someone for some reason, do it. Just with the connection request, I'll just take this in a different way. If there was someone you really wanted to connect with, that you actually wanted to reach out to and talk to within an organization or a company, an approach that we kind of use is, getting to know them a little bit more and engaging with some of their content before you actually reach out to connect. So I've been holding these business cards in my hand, and this is a don't, by the way. I don't know if you've got the don't slide up. But this is what not to do. You don't walk into a networking function and you hand out all of these business cards to the first 20 people you see. That's what we don't do, okay? We don't do that because no one knows me, Why do they want my business cards? Am I, just killing the planet, or what am I doing? So it's the same with LinkedIn, get to know that person you really want to connect with, share some information, share some stories, and then make the connection. Again, if we go back to handpicking your community, you only want a small number. I mean, how many, depending on, I guess, what your product and service is, but most of us are in the service game on LinkedIn. How many customers do you really want? So if you really want that connection, work for it, and you'll get that connection. And then I'm telling you now, I mean, we've had such good success when we've made them we've made ourselves more attractive, so they want to connect and converse with us, so that when we talk to them, they know our time is valuable and there's a better conversation. Whereas if you're just shooting out these business cards and all, no one's time's valuable. You don't even know what you're doing. You've got no strategy in place. So that's just another little tip, going back on that lady's question, and another way to approach someone to really you want to connect to.
And I want to bring probably your first slide about the basics about know your target primary and secondary audience. We probably need to touch on a little bit about primary and secondary audience, because I find that LinkedIn is actually great for secondary audience. That's probably the platform is the best, like no one goes to LinkedIn to buy something. It's not like, you open your LinkedIn app, you're scrolling through, I just feel like buying something today from LinkedIn. Like, does anyone did it? Like, comment, like if someone ever done it. Did you ever went to LinkedIn to buy something? Even on like Facebook or Instagram, sometimes we do go there to buy something. It's not like completely out of the question, especially with like Facebook Market and Instagram shopping and all this stuff. But LinkedIn, it's often not always a place for your primary audience in terms of like, I'm just gonna go to LinkedIn and sell people stuff. It's
Correct.
great for finding this connection, thinking about what service your clients need before or after you, and who you can connect to collaborate on a business alliance.
Yeah, and that's very true. And we're talking about generating leads here, so I'm going to talk more about sales. So when you're thinking about sales and you're approaching sales for that lead that you're looking for, that company that you want to work with, you look at things that are called influencers, right? And they're not the influencers, the Instagram influencers, but they're the people that help make the decision in an organization. The CEO or the CFO is really only worried about what they're doing. The CEO wants to make sure everything runs properly. The CFO wants to make sure financially we're viable and can go the distance, through this COVID thing. And they'll look at pivoting things, but they're looking at things at a very high level. If you've got a product or service offering that helps make someone's job easier, for example, then that's going to be at the influencer level. Or it might be the admin or secretary person that you used to have at the reception desk. So I'm probably showing my age now, but 20 years ago when we had to do cold calling and things like that, you call up and you get the reception lady, then they close or the mail or the intern or whatever, and then they hang up on you and you never get anywhere, and you're trying to get the name. Now we've got the name of the CEO or the CFO, but really, do they really have time to connect directly? Most of them don't. And so if you can build those relationships, as you say, Yana, with the other people that are surrounding them, that are called influencers. There are also decision makers that pay the bills, right, before it gets to things. They're your secondary audiences that surround that primary audience. So it's very important to start listing those job titles and knowing what those people look like around the team. For example, we work with a lot of not-for-profits, right? A lot. So we know the job titles that go around, and we know what support those organizations need and those people within those different job titles need. So it's easy for us to have the conversation when we've got something to give to them. And that's in one of my do's or don'ts. I don't know which one. But oh yeah, one of the do's. It's the last one, but we'll get to that. But the last one says, giving something without expecting something in return. And you do that. You go to these secondary audiences and you start giving away IP or giving away white papers or worksheets, or get them to come to a webinar to learn more, because they're just getting educated and they get so used to seeing you around that it just becomes like a referral almost when they go to the CEO or whatever. So they have to stand up in a meeting. They got to come up with a decision to make their job easier or to do whatever. And they go, yeah, we know someone, and they feel good about themselves, but you've empowered them to feel good about themselves. So you got to look at it, the sales mentality to things of, when people are reaching out, they need to get to know you. They look for referrals first. We all go word of mouth first, right? If I need a good photographer, I'm coming to Yana and saying, Yana, who takes all your photos, right? So, because you'll know portrait versus, business and things like that. So, I think we go to those first. So.
And I guess in your do's, there's another one that you just kind of mentioned about show up and then continue to show up. And you just start mentioning about it. It's all this consistency as well. Then you get to this primary or secondary audience. You being consistent with your content or with your messages. It's about just having your business card pretty much on their business table every time.
Yes, yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, if you keep on showing up, just think of it, like, continue to think of it without making it too complicated. We approached this about 8 years ago when we took for LinkedIn, and we've had nothing but success. We've got millions of dollars worth of leads from LinkedIn. And the philosophy we did is we treat LinkedIn as an online networking event. Okay. And when you go into that networking event, if you show up, so things like BNI, people are familiar with BNI. If you've just started a business, you go to BNI. They have the 7 o'clock breakfast. And if you show up every week, you develop a rapport with the people, and then, things happen there. But there's other networking events where it's really hard, where you only meet once a month or once every 3 months. Now, to keep engaged with that community, it's not about just showing up at that one event, right? So yes, you might show up at the one event, but then 3 months of gap, what are you doing in between? Here we can keep on showing up, we can keep on producing different content, knowing it's for the right audience, but have a variety of content, and you'll notice that people will start saying to you when they next meet up with you, gosh, you're busy on LinkedIn. I see your posts all the time. Now, I know that Yana posts way more than I do. I think I've only got like 20 or 30 posts. That's it. But people still say it to me, you know? And I'm sure,
It's
Yana,
in,
you've had this.
and
Strangers come and
it's
talk to
in,
you, you know? When we used to go to those events where I bumped into you, that event where I bumped into you where you got me on that LinkedIn messaging, the voice messaging thing, I had two people in that one SEO meetup say to me, "Hey, I've been following you on LinkedIn. You know, you're so busy on it. Can I have a chat with you?" I don't know who they were. I was like, what's going on here? You know? So you've had that, yeah?
I think the random one, the most random one for me, like I get it every time in Melbourne, but I think the most random one for me was I went to the conference in Sydney, and someone came to me and asked me about, how's your Lada? How's your Russian car? And I'm like, what?
How do you know about that? Yeah.
That was like surprise. I was like completely didn't know who's this person, and he started talking about my car in Russia. I was like, whoa! So
Yeah.
we have a lot of comments. Let's go through the comments
Yeah.
and answer the question, because Paul asked actually a few questions. We didn't get back to him. I guess talking about the engagement. So I guess Paul is asking, can we predict engagement?
So it does seem a bit random. It might seem random because you get what those engagement pods that will probably cause the drama, right? Those engagement pods, you know, have sometimes 20 people in them, and something that they post might get a really like in the thousands of reach. And if you have one of those people comment on one of your posts and they didn't comment in another post, you'll have that unfortunate skewed kind of metric in your analytics. But if you do consistently post and you don't have any of those people in your network or commenting or whatever, you can actually get some gauge. Like I know that if I look through all of my posts, the majority of my posts get about anywhere between 1,500 to 3,000 of organic reach. And I don't have I've got a big following, but not that massive as others. And then on our company page, you know, we only get the couple of hundred to, you know, maybe 500 or whatever, but we're not really pushing our agency on LinkedIn for various reasons. You got to choose a channel for where you want to market, right? So I think, and this next one from Paul was a question we were actually going to ask everyone on the call to see how often do people post on LinkedIn?
Yeah, let's everyone let's answer this question. So how often do you post? Before we share what we think about how often we should post, or how often is it frequent, how often do you post on LinkedIn? Obviously I post probably. How often I post? Maybe
I
three
think you're
times a
posting
week.
right now. I think you're posting right now,
Two,
Yana.
two,
While we're
three,
talking,
two.
you're posting probably.
I'm posting for the whole hour. Is it count? Is it count as a one post per minute? Or
That's it. Yeah.
here we go. Actually, we have a few people asking how often do we recommend to post.
Okay.
Here we go. Let's see the answers. That's a good one. When I have something interesting to say, that doesn't work because it's inconsistent. 2-3 times a week.
Unless Paul has something good to say all the time.
All the time. Not often enough.
Yeah.
Spontalis.
Valentos, yeah. Post what? Yeah.
Twice daily.
Wow, that's pretty dedicated.
Actually, Stefan mentioned before. Then he feels like I'm giving too much free at the moment. So we get back to this as well. Let's think about the frequency. Once or twice a day. Here we go. That's so
commitment.
okay. Sunday 2-3 times a week. So I'll give my answer about the frequency, and then we listen to Rodney's answer and see if we think the same. I actually
I've got it the right way this time.
I believe that actually doesn't matter how often you post, as long as it's consistent and relevant. So if you can consistently produce relevant content every day, Yeah, as Paul mentioned, and you have something interesting to say. If you have something relevant and interesting to say every day, you post every day. But as soon as you're posting a lot, but your content is not as relevant, don't need to post every day. Go down to twice a week or whatever, even once a week. But if you do a really good post once a week that's interesting and relevant, that's enough. So I think it's not about the frequency. It's all about the coming back to audience and relevance. So that's my answer to this.
Have we got a don't? Could you bring up the don't slide? I think we've got a.
We have
don't.
a few, 2-3 per week on the company page. So we have a don't slide. Yeah. Here's a don't slide.
Yeah, I'm trying to see which one. It's probably not. Yeah. So let's go back to the comments. So it really comes back to the showing up thing, right? So Yana, I agree with you. The consistency is the key, right? And it's the same with anything else. So if you go back to what social media kind of is, right? So email newsletters. So back when first we started with a brochure website, then we started email marketing. And email marketing was a bit of a long-formed email that came into your inbox that you either asked for or didn't ask for, right? And now social media posts are a truncated version of that email. It's a short little snippet. It's not a blog post. It's not long-form content. It's a short little snippet. But you kind of subscribe to someone, right? I subscribe to Yana. I want to hear from her a bit, and hopefully she turns up in my feed and those kind of things. And if I do engage with Yana's content, I'm going to see her in my feed a lot more than I am going to see someone else. And so if Paul over there has got something interesting to say, I'm going to see him a lot more in my feed if I start to engage. But if Paul does disappear after a while and is not consistent, then it's kind of wasted efforts. So in sales, again, when we talk about momentum, okay, when you build momentum, now when COVID hit, you know, what did people do? Did people just stop and say, I'm not doing selling anymore? Or did they go harder? You know, or do they have to change and pivot? If you lose momentum in sales, and depending on how everyone's sales cycle works, we have like a quarterly thing. If I work hard on sales today, in about 3 months' time, I'll see the results. So everyone has a sales cycle and a frequency that they know they should work on. If you're working hard, you build your pipeline. You should know that if I have $1 million worth of pipeline potential sales out there, I close 10% each month in cash. So I know my formula. Okay, great. How does that translate to other things? It's the same thing here. If we're looking for, and because the topic is mainly about generating leads, I'm going to focus more on sales. If we're looking about there, we need to keep that momentum going. And as you said, Yana, the momentum might be whatever. It might be 1 a week. It might be 2 a week. It might be 3 a week. I think what you don't want to do is you don't want to dilute your message. So if you too high frequency and you're diluting the message, or you're it was Stefan saying he's giving away too much IP. You've got to be mindful of, okay, how much return am I getting on this investment that I'm putting in? You know, am I losing out? Am I able to still reach out with confidence? Are people still looking at me as that thought leadership? You know, when social media first came out, everyone just said, you know, and Gary Vee and all those kind of people do it. It's just give away all your IP. Just keep on giving it away. There's a balance between it. I learned this from John Yo, who's a TEDx speaker, and he also coaches. You know, there's a thing about principle, there's a thing about concept, and there's a thing about detail. You know, if you're talking at the principle level and giving away those kind of things, that's fine. You can also start talking about concepts if you did have a webinar session like this. But the real detail and the real crux of it, you know, save that behind a paywall. Save that for when people actually engage with you. Because otherwise, yeah, you are giving away too much. And maybe for you, it seems like it's a really good thing. But for others, maybe they haven't even digested what you started talking about in the first place. So that's why I say sometimes, you know, this conversation we're having is going to go for an hour, and there's going to be lots of tips and lots of discussions. And I know there's a lot of active users as well that are joining in the comments. So you've got your own ideas as well. If you dumb it down and take it back and keep it simple to how you turn up to a networking event and how it takes time to build relationships. And then you reach out and you get referrals, and it's an easier close. And over time, you just get more and more and more referrals, and the network just grows. Then it's easier to think about some of these things of how often you post.
And I guess we have a few questions about it. So I guess we touch on already. So how much is too much before you think people you're a nuisance. So I don't like people, if you're posting too much, but it's still interesting and relevant.
Yeah.
It's not like, it's again, like what it means being like annoying, like you annoying, then you irrelevant. Then it's get annoying. So again, if you're giving a useful information, there is no too much. No one will think that no one will start thinking you annoying if they, again, as Rodney mentioned, subscribe to receive this information.
I think another question we should just ask while we're talking about this is, do people have a content plan? Do they have a content marketing plan? Do you actually sit down and work out what type of content you're going to post? And do you have so we have, 12 different streams as a minimum for clients on the different type of thing. Like for Paul being a finance specialist, there's so many different things you could talk about to not make it annoying. But if you only had 2 streams, like say, for example, you just did an update on, whatever the RBA is saying, or about home loans or something, and that's all you did every time, then obviously you're going to have diminishing returns. But I'm sure you've got a lot more to talk about. It'd be interesting to hear, do you actually strategically plan your content streams rather than just posting whenever you feel like, when Paul mentioned, he posts something when he has something interesting to say, that's called in-moment content. So in the moment, you feel like, okay, I've got something valuable to share with my audience. I remember who my audience is. Yep, I'll share. And that's okay. You leave room for that. But if that's all you did and you didn't have the strategy pieces around it, you're not nurturing your clients. The same way with email marketing, or the same way with relationship building, you're not nurturing those clients. And so it's harder to ask for that sale or that lead when you actually need to. What else have we got in our?
I want to mention about in moment content. So if you have this great idea, like if I feel like posting something, I just often I have a file for ideas. Like I have just simply Word document where I just quickly write some ideas, or I just record it on my phone, just voice message to myself if I have some sort of great idea. And then I'll just add it to my schedule. And in this case, then you have these great ideas, you just pumping up in your schedule, and it's still consistent. So you're just fitting it in your strategy instead of just doing it ad hoc. But yeah, sometimes you're doing something ad hoc if it's, some news come up this morning and, we went to isolation this morning. Yeah, of course it will be ad hoc content because it's one-off and it's something timing happened today. It's so. But my God, so many comments coming in. So there was one question from Sandra before about the articles in the post, and so that the posts have a high engagement. The article, so your article, LinkedIn not promoting.
Are you talking about Pulse articles or a blog article on your website?
Articles on LinkedIn.
So the Pulse
because LinkedIn articles don't get promoted and shown. So you actually need to promote your article through the posts. The short answer for that.
Depending, if it starts getting a little bit of traction, some of the people that become authors, it does get sent out in an email mail out, like in a summary email. It'll say Yana posted something of interest, but it only picks it up if you become that authoritative level, like, you're posting blogs that are actually articles that are actually engaged with. So you definitely have to post it and share it on things. But Pulse articles was a big thing when LinkedIn first started. The only good thing about it now is that you can still feature your article on your LinkedIn personal profile, and it's got a bit more stickiness over time as well. If it's evergreen kind of content that's got longevity, then it can actually be there for a while, and it helps.
Okay, so let's we're already up to 40 minutes, so let's take a few last questions. I know we can talk for hours. We probably should schedule another session.
Do you have the don'ts up there? I just want to pick one, maybe, if we can put this as a post later on.
I have a few questions here. So what do you
Yeah.
say for this, Rodney?
Yeah. So this comes down to a few things. So again, if you don't know what your audience is made up of, your followers, then this is going to be a struggle. So if you had to draw a line in the sand today and then just start connecting with people, like if you can write down what type of financial specialist are you, financial planner, or is it home loans? But I mean, I'll just pick an example. Say if it was home loans, yes, you've got a plethora of content that you can talk about. Exactly. But if you didn't know what your audience was made up of, and there were a lot of business owners and things like that, and you didn't know the age group or something, and you couldn't have that conversation to better engage with, you are going to have that problem because, and also you got to know the content's got to be right for the platform. So, you can't create like lifestyle things of, again, it depends on what type of person you are, but, too much about your lifestyle kind of driving in a Maserati or this or that kind of thing. But a lot of people do that on Instagram and actually have a very highly engaged following, because then those people want to know, how do I get this financial freedom? But those people are on Instagram, for example. On LinkedIn, it's a different conversation. So you need to find out, you might run a poll, you might look at your CRM and look at all of your last, 100 maybe customers or whatever that you've had, and see what they're made up of, and just start having those discussions, and your audience will start to filter out. And if you start connecting with just those people that are made up with your last 100, then you'll start to make it a much easier conversation to have, because you just feel like, even here when I'm talking, I just kind of talk as if I'm talking to one of my customers. I know I'm talking to potentially someone that may want to learn more about LinkedIn or one-on-one or something like that. That's how I'm talking. And you got to do the same and fit it in with your, just make 12 pillars, 12 strategy pillars. There might be a finance update. There might be a bit of lifestyle, might be your experience, then do a lot to do with success stories and other people selling you and talking about you. You can do a little bit of your story. So sometimes I don't like people going into this vulnerability thing too much. I think sometimes people are following trends. So they see other people being vulnerable, then everyone just starts being vulnerable on the network. And I'll have Steve, like in my feed, everyone's doing it to just get more reach or whatever. Do it if it's part of your storytelling. If they need to get to know you to gain trust with you, if you're a financial planner, then you need to do some of that in storytelling. So just then I gave you, 6 or 7 pillars, limit it to that, and then just keep on talking on that.
And now I lost, guys. They're talking about some fig jams. Paul asking Paul what the fig jam. I no idea, guys. I lost you.
I know what fig jam is, but I'm not gonna talk about that.
We'll leave it for another discussion.
Yeah.
Oksana is saying content plays are good, but it's very important to respond to what's happening in your marketing industry. And I guess it's coming back, like, I don't know, my strategy usually, I have my evergreen content, something about, and I talk about, I don't know, tips in front of camera. They evergreen, they're not going to change. You always need to, I don't know, put the camera on the eye level and put the lighting in front and things like this. And I schedule it evergreen content overall. But then, something happening in the news and stuff, and I might fill the gaps with some content that just trendy at the moment and put a few trends around. I guess that's how I look at the content.
I think Oksana's right. And especially with COVID, we can't plan out more than 2 weeks now. 2 weeks is long. Whereas we used to plan out 4 to 6 weeks, it was quite easy, even with that evergreen content and all. Now we can't. What we do with content plans now is we don't actually create the actual content, but we know which part of our stream we're talking about. And why we do that is to make sure we don't have 2 testimonials next to each other, or we don't have, 2, like for one of our clients, he's helps entrepreneurs and stuff. So we don't have 2 pieces of advice next to each other. We don't know what it's going to be because we want to make it relevant for that time and period. But we at least know where we're spreading it out. So yes, and as you mentioned, today's changing. So it's literally 2 weeks we have it. And again, if you're looking at on average, those 2 to 3 posts a week for your company page, 2 to 3 posts for your individual page, what we're kind of roughly doing for our clients, that's on average. you can't go more than 2 weeks at the moment, and you've got to leave room for that in moment thing that we're talking about. Like one of our clients plays a lot of golf, and he does most of his networking on the golf course. And stage 3 was, it was fine still, and then stage 4 we can't do it anymore. And so he wanted to post about it as soon as it happened. So you can't say, oh, well, that doesn't fit into the content plan.
It's happened with my client. We filmed videos in the gym, and the gym got shut.
Yeah, there you go. Or you're sitting next to someone, and you can't use that content.
Guys googling what's a fig jam. I'm gonna Google what's a fig jam after the stream. Okay, so that will be my new cage for next live stream. Yeah. Anyway, so Rodney, you mentioned you wanna said something about last don't or something. You want to mention something else? Or
just leave the don'ts up there. I'll just quickly have a look. So I ran through the do's a bit. So yeah, don't hand out your business cards because it's too pushy. I'm sure all of you guys are, fed up with the pushy sales tactics on LinkedIn. You don't like it. No one else will like it. When posting, don't just talk about yourself all the time. And don't get too personal. And when we're talking about don't talk about yourself, talk about what your audience wants to hear more than talking about yourself. And just have that mentality. What else have we got there on the list? Don't just follow trends. I talked about that, the vulnerability thing, or just hopping onto a LinkedIn a pod, like an influencer pod, so they all start commenting. Do things that work with your strategy and your personality and how you would approach things, because people want to get to know you. When you end up talking to them or meeting them and everything, you want to have that sincerity that you have as a person. The next one was don't worry about the numbers of your followers. So yeah, Yana has something like 15,000. Don't get jealous about Yana. There's nothing to be jealous about. Look at the quality of your followers. Look at the quality of your comments and connections. I have a post that I usually share in my workshop where I had 500,000 likes and comments and stuff like that. 500,000 likes and whatever, 200 comments. But I got 0 business out of it. And there were the wrong type of people that wanted to connect with me from that viral piece of content. I had another piece which only had 3,000 reach, but I had maybe 10 comments. And I actually got 2 clients out of it. One was a affiliate, like a partnership client, and one was an actual client. So just worry about the quality. Worry about, how you would, go into a networking event. There's no point picking up 20 business cards from people and you don't know what conversations you had. Have 3 really good conversations and then follow it up the next day, or whenever you say you're going to follow up, or the next action you're going to do what you say you're going to do. And that starts building that rapport. What was the last one?
And I guess we're just already coming to, 50 minutes. But yeah. I guess to summarize it, I think that's all about the strategy. Like, it's all about having strategic approach to your LinkedIn and not just some ad hoc post or adding random people and things like this. And that's exactly what you said. Some posts might get only like 3 likes and 2 of them will become customers, because every piece of content that you post have a particular call to action as well. So you think about your call to actions on the journey. But you can't, if you're waking up on Monday morning and thinking, oh my God, what I'm going to post on LinkedIn this week, that's not a strategy.
No. And what we're talking about here as well is very much an organic, long-term and overall aim, right? If you're starting on LinkedIn today, or you're just trying to get on top of it today, don't expect to get results straight away. Think of your normal sales cycle and what you do when you go to networking events. How long does it take you? Sometimes it takes you months, years by the time you see and they go, oh yeah, sorry mate, I was supposed to call you, I forgot to call you. You got to keep on showing up. You got to know your sales cycle, and you got to have a CRM where you're keeping notes of that person, because the LinkedIn inbox and everything else is a nightmare. But if you know someone's got a couple of kids, or they go on holidays, or they like driving around that racing car, write it in your CRM if they're an ideal client, and continue to build those relationships. The last one was saying, don't say LinkedIn doesn't work for me. I have a lot of people say, oh, LinkedIn's not for me, LinkedIn doesn't work. Well, the thing is that
because is
correct. That's it. It's because there's no plan. So if you have no plan, you got a plan to fail. You know, that's the famous saying. And it's the same with all sorts of marketing. Yes, there is a truth behind, is it the right channel for you? You need to worry about that. But LinkedIn is a platform of networking, humans connecting with other humans. So if you think you're a human that can engage with another human in the product or service that you're offering, and there could be a potential of working together, then LinkedIn is the place to go because you're actually connecting with another human. So we've got to remember that. And that's the way we need to show up. I'm just conscious of time. I can
so much, so much information, Rodney, and I know we can keep going because we didn't talk about the voice messages. I think we should leave it. We should leave it for the next time, because otherwise we get in a 20 minutes conversation about it. So, guys, thank you all for your comments. If for any reason we didn't answer some of your questions, you can direct message me, and I can try my best to answer those questions. Talking about like
we'll both jump on
company page and personal account, massive topic, Paul. Like if I guess we start talking about it, it will. It's probably I need to do a separate stream about it because there's a kind of slightly different strategy when it comes to the personal account and then comes to the company page, and you need to treat it a bit differently as well. But the exciting moment. As you know, we always have a giveaway at the end of our stream. So what's the giveaway today, Rodney?
All right. So this is a total giveaway. So there's no upsells or anything to this. Basically, as we said, we're running online workshops. So we charge $850 for the LinkedIn marketing workshop, where basically you not only get all of the strategies and everything we do to manage our clients, what we do where people pay us to do that on a monthly basis, you also will get up to 12 live Q&A sessions. So you jump on the call and you can ask any question directly associated with your profile. We also have we do breakout rooms. So we do use Zoom, we do breakout rooms where people then share their screens, and we can go through their profiles as well. So, I'm happy to give away one of those to a lucky attendee today, and they'll really benefit. We're only just launching the digital crowd. It's fairly new. There's only a small amount of people. So if you do get on board, you're almost going to get like one-on-one coaching. There's no ongoing fee. There's no nothing for this person. It's just you can pick who you want, Yana. I mean, who do you think? It's your show.
Oh, no, that's not fair because I know majority of these people.
That
will be unfair if I'll pick it. Maybe we should ask them some last tricky question and and see the replies. Or you already know who've been the most active one.
I think there's been a few that have been active. I'll just ask one question. What is your biggest takeaway from this session?
Here we go. Let's see who will post the takeaway. So Oksana is answering for Paul. Here we go. Oksana is answering the Paul's question while we
That's good.
while we're talking. We usually post a company page and ask our team to repost on the personal profiles to help drive views on the company page, and we also post on the personal profiles and they feel relevant. There you go. Edwin, you're not getting into takeaway, you just get one. You've been silent all the time, and now you saw the giveaway, and you don't be late. Just do it. Here we go. Principal content.
All Antos has got all the acronyms, mate. You got the slogans and the acronyms and everything going.
To be hand select my audience and be strategic. Yep. Oh, Edwin's crying.
Let's give him a virtual cuddle. Here's one for you, Edwin.
yeah, like cuddles.
Everyone's actually picking up good tips, and I hope that you guys are using this to your, in your own marketing as well. I don't know. I'm tossing between Mr. Fig Jam and Mr. Fig Jam and Fig Jam. Sandra.
Look, Sandra did get a getaway from another show once. I know it's unfair that if
We've
I'll
also
just
got
say
us down at
Sandra is not getting giveaway because she got another giveaway, but
I'm gonna do a random.
then
I'm gonna flip a coin.
but then
I'm
that's
gonna flip a
unfair.
coin.
It's unfair, Cole. Coin. Okay, let's do the
I'm
coin.
gonna flip this
Okay.
card. Okay. So blue
Okay.
is Paul Antos, and
show it. We need to see it on the camera.
all right,
So
I'm gonna flip it like this, and I'll catch it, and then I'll show you. Okay. So
okay,
blue is Paul,
okay.
and Sandra is the shield. Okay. Ready?
Okay. Okay.
That's Paul.
What did you say? That's Paul. Like which one?
That's Paul Antos.
And Sandra saying, I think Jem should get it.
Yeah, I think. Well, it's a censored show. It's it's still not past kids' bedtime, so we can't use any swear words. So that's why, yeah. So Mr. Fig Jam.
Okay, Paul, where are you? Just do it. So the takeaway, just do it. So Mr. Fig Jam, we have two Pauls actually. Bingo.
Yeah, Paul Antos.
Paul Antos. Bingo. Here we go, Paul. Congratulations. I will connect you. I will connect you on LinkedIn with Rodney. And if we missed any comments, we're gonna go through some comments later on the platforms, guys. So obviously we're already going almost for an hour. So just some information here for you to get in touch with Rodney if you would like. So Rodney's LinkedIn, obviously Rodney Ferro. Is it LinkedIn the best place for you to connect, Rodney?
Yeah, that's the best place.
Yep.
Just search it up and send me a message if you've got any questions. As Yana appears a lot on the lives as well. I do a little bit of roaming around, and happy to as the other gentleman said that he gives away too much IP. I'm happy to have a chat with a closed group of people. You guys are investing your time. We want to make sure you get enough value out of it. So, hopefully that, you've got something out of here, and just take one thing and just do one thing really well from what you've written down in all of those comments, and just see the change that you get. Just, keep a bit of a diary, a bit of a journal as to when you started and how you're going with it all.
100%. I think you have it even.
Yana,
there you go.
There's the content calendar. Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, chatting, and thanks for having me on the show. I'm always sitting on the sidelines.
Thank you so much, Rodney. And just to finish up, I'm gonna let you know, guys, that we have another 3 incredible guests already scheduled for next 3 weeks. Next week, we're going to speak with Arash, and we're going to talk about how to improve your online communication with emotional intelligence. So we're going to deep a bit in the psychology of online communication next week with Arash. And then the week after, we're going to talk with another incredible LinkedIn expert, Karen, and we're going to talk about how to write your LinkedIn profile to get found online. So it will be more about actually profile writing this session. And after that, we're going to talk with Andrew about LinkedIn Premium. Is it worth it? So probably a really good topic as well. We always see this LinkedIn Premium popping up, but do we actually need it? Yeah, is it worth it to pay money? Are we actually getting the features we want? So make sure tune in at 5:30 on Wednesdays. As I said, the best way actually to tune in is actually follow YouTube channel, because YouTube channel actually send you proper notification. LinkedIn is a bit slack sometimes, and you're not always getting the live comments. So if you can, just go to Yana Martens YouTube channel, subscribe to YouTube channel. And also for those who want to learn about more LinkedIn, I have a webinar about videos on LinkedIn. We didn't talk about video content today. So if you want to talk about video content, join my next webinar on the 8th of September at 5 p.m. You can sign in for my webinar on my website, yanamartens.com. So here we go. So much going on, and so much information as usual. But just remember, Wednesdays 5:30. Any platform that you like, Facebook, LinkedIn, on YouTube. And Rodney, last word from you.
Hooray. No, no. I think it's time for a nice coffee and a nice drink. Everyone stay safe, take care, and enjoy the time that you have at the moment to think strategically about your marketing and your digital marketing.
Perfect. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you.
See you next week.
Bye.